to Power Radio. I'm your host, Tonya DeCosimo. My guest today brings back so many wonderful memories for me. She was one of the stars in my favorite TV show, Charlie's Angels. Jaclyn Smith is an award-winning actress, designer, entrepreneur, and role model who has been in the limelight for over 4 decades. She was born in Texas, moved to New York, was discovered by an agent for her natural beauty, and became the legendary Breck girl. Before long, Jaclyn was appearing in series such as McCloud, The Rookies, and Switch. In 1976, she starred as Kelly Garrett on Charlie's Angels. Jaclyn soon earned a Golden Globe nomination for her critically acclaimed portrayal of the legendary First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy, one of the most highly rated telefilms of all time. In 1989, Jaclyn was honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. She entered the business world in 1985 with the introduction of her collection of women's apparel and accessories for Kmart stores, making her one of the first celebrities to develop a fashion brand rather than just endorsing. In September 2008, Jaclyn launched her new line of bed and bath decor at Kmart and has since introduced outdoor living, home furnishing, and seasonal items. She also has created a new collection of hair fashions and wigs with her friend and celebrity hairstylist, Jose Eber. In 2010, Jaclyn and her husband, Dr. Brad Allen, developed a family of luxurious cleansers, moisturizers, and protective skincare. And in 2018, she launched her fashion line at Sears. Jaclyn is also a breast cancer survivor. She says her husband Brad, son Gaston Anthony, and daughter Spencer Margaret keep her centered and serve as her inspiration. I am so honored to have this beautiful and multi-talented woman with us today. Welcome, Jaclyn Smith.
Well, thank you. You covered everything, and you are amazing. Gee, thank you for reminding me of all those good things.
You're amazing.
No, that's beautiful. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being with us. So, as a small-town girl from Texas, moving to the Big Apple, what went through your mind when you were originally discovered for your natural beauty?
Well, I mean, New York opened up the world to me. I never thought I'd go because I didn't think my dad was going to let me go. He wanted me to settle right down in Houston, Texas. But, you know, what I realized when I got to New York, it was a melting pot of everything. You know, I wanted to be a ballet dancer. The best was there, American Ballet Theater, New York City Ballet. And at the time I got there, Broadway was there, City Center, and you got a newspaper backstage, and you could go to open auditions. So it was a place to start a career. It was a place to educate me about the discipline of having a career. I guess you'd have to say it's my favorite city in the United States. I love New York because it taught me so much.
I'm glad to hear that because that's where I'm from.
Yeah, it is an exciting place.
Now, Charlie's Angels was and continues to be an icon, not only with the television series, but the movies that followed. How does it feel being one of the original Angels?
Well, first of all, Charlie's Angels, again, I never dreamed we'd be talking about it 40 years later. It opened up the world for all of us. You know, I'm happy to be a part of a show that we still talk about 40 years later. So something must have been right. You know, I think the concept of the show was unique at the time. 3 women instead of 3 men as leads, glamorous, beautiful locations, nothing too heavy to, you know, go away and think, what did they mean by that? It was just a show that I think hit a wide demographic from young to old. It was sort of a family show. And, you know, even today, people come up to me and say, you know, I watched this with my mother and dad. I watched it with my children. So it's nice to be a part of a show that is remembered in such a positive way.
I still watch it.
I haven't, but I was on MeTV or something, and I'm flipping through, and there we are, and boy, it was the show we did in Vail, and I thought, the lushness of Vail and Aaron Spelling, how he just made colors pop. I mean, he put everything into the production value of a show. So I was really kind of surprised because we do things so quickly today. You know, you can do a movie for television in 3 weeks. And, you know, we took 7 days just to shoot an hour show. And time and care was put into it.
Amazing how things change, right?
Things change. Lighting changes. Camera moves. Everything is digital and done without the lighting of highlights and shadows, which we took time to light, but it was more beautiful.
Now, what led you to take the leap from acting to designing your own clothing line?
Well, I was approached by Kmart. I was under contract to Max Factor at the time. And they did not want me to do it. So at first I turned down the opportunity at Kmart. And they said, please take a meeting. And I did. And I went in and I saw a line in there. I couldn't believe it was called Hunter's Glen. And it was very reminiscent of Ralph Lauren. And it was a 100% cotton shirt, button down. And the price point was unbelievable. And my mother had always wanted to be a designer. And I designed my senior prom dress, and I love design too. And I thought, you know, I'm going to do this. And it was a decision that a lot of people were against me doing, but it's probably one of the best decisions I made in my career. And I've loved it, and I've gone the distance with the company. We're coming back strong again after, you know, a bankruptcy. And, you know, I'm part of that family. I cheer for that company. And I'm now in Sears. My daughter designed a layette that was inspired by her baby, her little girl.
So cute. I see her pictures. Adorable.
Yeah, people don't even know what a layette is. I guess it's an old-fashioned term. But it is, you know, what you bring the baby home from the hospital in.
Right.
And she really put thought and care into the colors and the feel of the fabrics and the icon, and now we're going on up in age because Bee's going to be 3 September 17th. Have another little granddaughter, Olivia Rose. So, yeah, you know, I want to stay in the the children's apparel. It's fun.
Can you believe you're a grandmother? Because you don't look like a grandmother.
Oh, boy, it's the joy of my life being a grandmother. You know, you just have the fun. It's interesting. That's like a gift later in life. You know, they talk about the golden years. Some, you know, when you have an ache in your knee or this or that, but the grandchildren make it all okay. They put you over the moon, you know. It's just like you experience it all again, you know, Christmas, Easter, you know, all the things I did with my kids. It's like you believe again in all those innocent things, and it's beautiful.
Let's get back to your clothing line and accessories. You've had over 100 million women purchase your clothing and accessories.
Yeah.
Why do you feel your brand has been so successful?
I think my brand is timeless, classic. There's value there, but there's quality. There's detailing to all the pieces, whether it be our choice of buttons or embroidery or the lining of a jacket. Or it's surprising we can do it for the price point we do it for. And the style is very elevated, and I think where I started and where I am now is, you know, there's a distance in between that because we did educate our customer. You know, when I started, there was no black or navy or khaki, and it was all pastels. I mean, and now we're right abreast of the trends of the day, because we have a loyal customer that when I did launch my line, I went across the United States, going to every store, meeting my customer, seeing their needs, and I think that's carried me through. That customer is still shopping. They've sort of grown up with me. And I think Kmart, Sears, they're masters of the mass market. It's not easy. They break down, like, how do we make an affordable price point here? You know, what can we do in the design of this product to keep the price right and maintain the quality? So I think, you know, it's been an education. I know about design, but, you know, I learned about how do we maintain the quality with the correct price point. Value being important in all of the things that I brand because I think the world today, I mean, everybody deserves a beautiful place to live and to wear pretty clothes, but it's not that easy to do that unless you know the quality of the brand you're buying. Because some things fall apart. I can really say my line, there's durability to it, and, you know, it's easy care. All that's been analyzed over 40 years. So I think sizing is an important part. When you buy a size 8, it's an 8. When you buy a plus size, it's a plus size.
And you wear your own clothing, correct?
Oh, yes. I wear my own clothing because it's really pretty. And, you know, we're doing some vegan leather, which people go, oh, no, that's not your line. You know, because they can't believe we can do it for that price point. And I'm a believer in the shopper mix and match, high, low, you know. So if you have something in your wardrobe that you want to mix with it, that's what I encourage my customer to do. Make it their own. You know, I don't believe in, okay, this is an outfit, and this is the way this should be. You know, I've worn my pieces with different things that I've collected. I've worn them with vintage pieces. I've put on a belt that, you know.
Anything goes today, right? Anything goes today. Mix and match.
Anything goes, and I think it's all about comfort. You know, when I design my line, if the fabric doesn't feel good, if it's not comfortable, I don't want to do it. You know, I mean, people will say, well, you have to suffer for fashion. I don't. I'm too busy to put on something that's not comfortable or doesn't wear well or wrinkles in a minute. No, I think my customer has been loyal because we've maintained the philosophy and what we set out to do, which was fashionable at affordable prices, maintaining quality.
Now, being considered one of the most beautiful women in America, I'm going to say in the world, because not because I'm interviewing you, but I have to tell you, I do. I think you're the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. But not only are you beautiful, you're an actress, you're an entrepreneur, you're a wife, you're a mother, and now a grandmother. How do you juggle it all? How do you do it all?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I have a very supportive team, and I have a wonderful, loving husband. And, you know, it'd be silly to say you don't get stressed or you don't have a hard time sometime juggling. That's just life. It comes through the ups and downs. But I think I grew up a certain way, so I'm grateful. I think when you are grateful and you think, you know, I'm so lucky to have this, and to be working at my age is kind of amazing. And I think as long as people are true to themselves and have what they need to balance all this heavy work schedule, and I do. I have 2 great children. You know, they're very much a part of my life. You know, I'm one of those mothers that, oh boy, they're my best friends, and I want to spend time with them. So am I a person that wants to go to every event? No, I'm pretty much a homebody, and home gives me balance. It gives me strength. My grandchildren give me joy. So I think that if you have the balance, and it's just not all about career and work, you do it. But in my opinion, you have to have a departure, because I think that when it's all on that work, superficial level, not that it's always superficial, but it is, you know, maintaining a certain standard and maintaining that time schedule, and that can be wearing. So you do have to have a departure. And I always say to women, be good to yourself, too. Make it easy on yourself. Work, and then, you know, have your time.
And then play.
You know, right.
Work and then play.
You need some play in life.
Absolutely. Now, in 2002, you were diagnosed with breast cancer.
Right.
What went through your mind when you received this horrible news?
Fear. I wouldn't be here for my children. So, you know, when he came in and said that, he said, I have, I have some good news and some bad news. I went, oh, God. I said, what do you want to hear? I said, well, tell me the bad news, and I want to hear the good news next. And he said, well, you have breast cancer, but we got it early, and you're going to be okay. And I just remember saying, am I going to be here for my children? He said, you're definitely going to be here for your children. And, you know, I panicked. I went to that appointment by myself because it was just an annual mammogram. And I just said, you know what, I want to have a mastectomy. I want this done immediately. My daughter's going to a summer intensive for Alvin Ailey. I need to get this done. And I wasn't thinking clearly, so I got in the car. I called my husband, who was in Chicago. He's a pediatric heart surgeon. He was there at the time. My mother was in Houston. And both of them said, no, you don't have breast cancer. I said, oh, yeah, I do. But they were in shock. And then my husband knew my doctor because they had trained together at UCLA, and he said, this is where you need an advocate. You need somebody that talks sense to you, because the best prognosis for me was to have a lumpectomy and radiation, which is what I did. And, you know, I had a sentinel node biopsy. My nodes were negative. So Brad said, you'd be crazy to do a mastectomy. They're going to watch you every 6 months. And it was small, and so that's what I did. But without him, I might have gone on and said, because even my doctor said, no, you don't need it. I said, no, I must, because, you know, I didn't want to interfere. I just wanted to get it behind me. And I thought this was the way. My daughter ended up, why things like this affect everybody. She wouldn't leave to go to Alvin Ailey. And I said, I'll do my treatment there, my radiation. She wouldn't hear of that. So she missed her Alvin Ailey. She did something here. But that's where, you know, when things like that happen, it affects everybody. But here I am, I don't know, more than 18 years out. And, you know, I spent 3 years with Strength in Knowing, touring the country and, you know, just talking to women about breast cancer, about what the risk factors are, and healthy living, and to get their mammograms. And I'm still an advocate of, you know, they say a mammogram after 40 every 2 years. I say every year. If I'd have waited 2 years, it would have grown. I think women need to be smart today. And it's not always on the internet either, because that can mess you up.
That's for sure. Well, I'm glad you're okay and that everything worked out. God bless. So, Jacqueline, what's on the horizon for you? Anything new coming up? Anything you want to tell us?
You know, I have a line of fabrics for trend. Again, the value, the quality, it's all beautiful. We've come out with a new fabric called Inside Out Performance Fabric. And you wouldn't believe that it could be outside. It can be inside, and you would think this would not be able to, you know, withstand sun and wind and rain, but it does. And inside, you think, well, it's just another beautiful, high-quality fabric. Children can get on it, grandchildren, dogs, and you just wash it off with soap and water. The sun doesn't fade it. So I'm in the process of putting this in a lot of areas of our house because, as you know, the California sun can bleach fabric. It's really a miracle fabric. So that's something. I just came back from Tulsa and launched it, and interior designers from all over are just thrilled with it. And I'm thrilled with it, and I think, you know, it's really going to be, you know, a success because of the longevity, durability, and the quality and the beauty of it. I also just did a Christmas movie, you know, which I haven't done in a while, a Christmas movie. It's called Random Acts of Christmas, and I did that for Lifetime. So now I'm getting back to getting to work on all my brands. I did that, and you know, the branding is ongoing. So week to week, we're into design.
You are amazing. You keep going. You keep coming up with new ideas. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been, no, I did just get back from Tulsa. So, you know, I'm excited about that fabric.
Well, you're an inspiration. That's awesome. Tell us something that we don't know about Jacqueline.
Well, I guess I would say I love to laugh. I love to do jokes. I think people see you on film and they think, ooh, so sophisticated. I think my image on film projects something, but I'm kind of crazy and funny, and I don't know. I like that. I grew up in Houston with parents that, you know, I refer to it sort of as a magical place where I grew up. But it was just easy and fun, and there was a lack of, it wasn't rigid or, you know, it was free. And, you know, I grew up in a neighborhood. I think what people know, I'm really a Texas girl, okay? I'm a Texas girl. Even though I've lived here and in New York, I have that whole mentality of just Texas in me, and it'll never leave. So I guess they don't see that in me as much, maybe.
How do you stay so grounded and humble?
I had great examples. My grandfather was a minister, a Methodist minister. He lived to be almost 102. My parents lived life. You know, they represent all that's good and right in the world. They were just good, down-to-earth people. They were kind. They lived life right, and that's what I had in front of me all of my life. And I don't know if I can come up to that, but I try to. I really do, because they set a very fine example. And as great as my career is, you know, it's sort of defined me in a very personal way. It's given me who I am because basically I'm so connected to the life there. I think it made me a more interesting person and a more challenged person to have a career. But I probably could have been happy back there in Texas teaching ballet, too. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful. It's made me better to have a career. And I think it set an example for my children of a work ethic. And it gave me, you know, another dimension to me, my career. But there's the balance of that beginning and my childhood that carries me through my career.
Good role models.
Yeah, the best role models in the world.
There you go.
Miss them every single day of my life.
You have many, many more years ahead of you. But I have to ask you this. What do you want to be remembered for?
What do I want to be remembered for? You know, it's all always about family and a good mother and wife and kindness and what my parents are remembered for, just living life right and living beyond myself in a sense, you know. And I think when you're a mother, nothing becomes more important than doing that one right. And now I have my grandchildren, which is an extension of them. So I think I'd like to just, as a good person, doing things in the proper way, being grateful. I mean, I know that sounds soppy sweet, but that's sort of me, family. It always comes back to family.
Perfect answer. Jacqueline, what does the word empowerment mean to you?
I think being your own person is empowering. Not having to have the last word. Being confident but not overconfident. Not having to prove yourself. When you're powerful within, less is more. You make your statement. And I've found that even when there's somewhat of a disagreement, you say it, you step back. When you lose it, you lose your power. When you have to be right, you lose your power. When you can say, okay, this is what I think, and have the power to walk away and not convince, because there's something desperate about that. And I think desperation stagnates good things.
Excellent. Excellent answer.
Now if I can do it. No, but don't you know when you lose it, you feel horrible?
Absolutely.
I mean, everybody's lost it in life, you know, or, you know, you lose your temper and you say things. And I think when you can maintain and walk away, it's the most powerful, secure feeling. That's an important thing to me.
But so many people are losing it today way too quick. It was different years ago. You know that. I know that. People just say what's on their mind. They don't care who they hurt.
It's horrible. I mean, even within your own personal life, when you can maintain strength to say, okay, you know, this is how I feel, but onward and upward, I'm not buying into that. I just think temper and, you know, that everybody does it, and you can't get, you know, but you learn from each time you do it that it doesn't get you where you want to go.
You have made such an impact on so many women, especially in my generation, that I have to tell you this because my stepdaughter would be very upset. She was named after you.
Oh, really?
As I'm sure
beautiful.
So many children were named after you. But she said, please tell her that I was named after her.
Oh, I love my name, and I was named after my dad, who's Jack, so.
Love your name, and I love the way you spell it, too.
Yeah, I do, too.
Instead of Jacqueline, right? It's just Jacqueline.
Yeah, it's Jacqueline.
Jacqueline.
And growing up, though, another thing people don't know, I did go by Ellen, because in the South, in Texas, My mother was Margaret Ellen. I'm Jacqueline Ellen. My daughter's Spencer Margaret. And for some reason, as a little girl, I didn't like it being shortened to Jackie, so they called me Ellen. And now I love Jackie, you know. I mean, all my actor friends, it's Jackie. But growing up, I was Ellen. So if I was in Texas, most of those people called me Ellen. And in school, I went by Ellen.
Beautiful name. Jackie, Jacqueline, Ellen, all beautiful.
I'm all good. All good.
You're beautiful. Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's such a pleasure to have a woman of power such as yourself with us today, and also being on our fall cover. I am so excited that you're going to be on the cover of Power magazine. I can't wait.
I'm honored. It sounds great, and I appreciate you having me and talking to me and taking this time.
It was wonderful to have you, and I wish you continued success and stay beautiful inside and out, because you are.
Yeah, as my mother said, pretty is as pretty does.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Jaclyn Smith. Take care now.